Bum-ba-da-dum! Howdy, welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I'm Banjo Ben. I teach you how to play banjo and mandolin, but this week is Guitar Week, and we're finishing up that beautiful mandolin guitar duet for It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Duets are kind of the theme for our Christmas lessons this year. They're a lot of fun. But what's cool about this one is you can grab a friend and play the duet with him, or it can work as a solo arrangement. So you could grab the mandolin solo or this guitar solo, and it works just fine. Plus, it's in a key that's singable. So that's profitable as well. If you're watching somewhere else beside the website, I'd love to have you on board. At BanjoBenClark.com, I have hundreds of lessons for banjo, guitar, and mandolin, including lots of Christmas ones. You should come check that out. Let's start in on this one. Now, I mentioned that this is in a singable key, and that's great because we're going to learn a rhythm pass through it. So you can learn the chords, and I'll teach you how to do the strum patterns, and you can use that to play as people sing or as you sing. But we're also going to learn the solo, and that's what we're going to start out with first. And it's a playable solo. It's really tasty. You can play it wherever you want. It fits any setting. But it's also easy enough for you to learn, even if you've never really done a flat picking solo before. Let's check it out. A couple notes that we want to point out here. One is I have the pick stroke direction beneath each one of these notes. And that's, as far as this one goes, it's going slow enough. You can kind of do whatever pick directions you want. But these are the ones that I'm going to use for the most part. And then second of all, you'll notice my pinky has a Band-Aid on it. I messed it up a little bit, so I can't use my pinky today. But we don't use it a whole lot, especially on the solo side. But if I were to use my pinky, I'd tell you, just so you can see how I would have done it. Now, the solo actually comes in on the last note of that measure 34. Measure 34. That open D string. It came upon a midnight. And I include almost every melody note in this solo. We're just going to add a few around it to make it sound good. So I'm going to slide up from 2 to 4. And our melody is here. Boom, 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 boom. Then come down for this measure 36. It's this A minor chord, but I'm just going to do it partially. I'm not doing the whole thing. And I'm going to hammer on with my middle finger. And I'm playing through those two strings at once. So if I start with the last beat of measure 34 and play through the end of that line, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. And you end up in this C position, don't you? Going into 37, release, but we're going to go right back to it, so don't let your fingers get too far away. We're going to do a forward reverse, then back to that partial C chord, and go through all three strings. And then back to open in 38. Then go back to that C chord. We're doing forward reverse roll again. If you've never done any cross picking, this is really good practice here. Now right here, I would normally play my pinky on that 4th fret. Ow! But I might just jump up and grab it here. Or I can play with my ring finger. But the fingering is very, very important, measure 40. Now look what the melody is doing. The melody is going bum, 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 bum. And I work that into a forward roll, something like a banjo would almost play. And the fingering is important because we want to try to get it smooth. I want you to use your middle finger on that 2nd fret of the 2nd string up there. So hold that down first. And then come back with your index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then release your middle finger. Just practice that measure. And I don't want you to pick up your fingers until you have to pick them up, until you're forced to pick them up because you need to play an open string. That's going to keep it very legato, very smooth. And then leave that down for 41 because now we're going into a D chord. We'll eventually go through that, so you'll want to use your ring finger on that 3rd fret. Now if I do this whole line slowly, it sounds like this. Hear how smooth that sounds? And then when we go into that D chord in 42, I'm just going to play it through the D chord and then hammer onto that 2nd fret up top. And then we'll have some repeating. We've seen all that before? Yep, all this before too. Now we're beginning to wrap up the verse in measure 47. if you'll think about what the melody does, the melody goes boom, 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 boom. And we have that here, but we're just working in some other scale notes around it. And then 49, there's our melody note, but we're going to play a cool little ending lick. When we get into measure 51, that's the start of our chorus, okay? The chorus goes into a different chord progression than the verse. We have a really cool chord that sounds good in Christmas songs. That's that 3 chord. In this instance, it's a B7. And we're going to play all around those notes. But let me play this whole line for you. I love letting those notes ring out. On that first fret. Oh, I would normally use my pinky there on that 4th fret. Then back to open. So a lot of little blues notes in there that fit the chord progression really good. 55, we're going to a partial D chord. Actually, I want you to play it with your first 2 fingers though. And I'm going to release my index finger to get that open string in 55. Right here. Then play that 4th fret with a ring. Slide down to the A7 like this. And then you can do that with your pinky or your ring. So the whole line. Oh! Then we go into a lick. Some more familiar melody coming back in toward the end. But 59, we've seen it before. So we've seen all that before. 62. And then we have a melodic way to end it. And then we have the same lick that we saw back in measure 49. And that's the end of it. That whole line. What we're going to do now is play through the whole solo, the verse and the chorus slowly together, and then I want to spend some time on the rhythm, learning how to play that waltz rhythm, keeping it smooth, and learning the chords that sound good behind folks singing it, as well as that mandolin playing the solo if you're going to do it as a duet. If you're watching somewhere else beside BanjoBenClark.com, you know what you got to do. You got to go over there and get the tabs for both the mandolin and the guitar solo, as well as MP3s. So if you want to play along with me, you can do that.